Consciousness shift in the future of humanity. What do human beings live by? Across the whole of human history, one fundamental question has persisted: what do human beings truly live by? In different eras, the answers have varied: survival, possessions, divine protection, love, and moral order. Yet these answers have always been framed by the language of their time. For centuries, humans have understood themselves primarily as physical bodies embedded in social roles, with the mind treated as a secondary byproduct. Today, however, this definition is rapidly losing its credibility. Modern humanity is materially richer than any generation before it, yet experiences a profound sense of emptiness. Information is abundant, technology advances at breathtaking speed, and still, the meaning of life feels increasingly elusive. This is not a failure of material conditions but a crisis of perception. How we define what a human being is determines the direction of our lives. When humans see themselves merely as biological entities or functional units within society, life inevitably collapses into competition, scarcity, and anxiety. Yet, within ancient philosophical traditions and religious thought lies a radically different understanding. A human being is not merely an object in the world but the subject to whom the world appears. The essence of humanity is not the content of thought but the awareness that recognizes thought. This awareness is experienced individually, yet it cannot be confined to the individual alone. From this perspective, the human being is not isolated but intrinsically connected to a greater order of existence. How religion came to be misunderstood. At its origin, religion functioned as a language for expanding human awareness. Over time, however, it became institutionalized. Symbols hardened into literal doctrines, lived experience was replaced by belief systems, and inner transformation gave way to external conformity. In many traditions, the divine gradually came to be understood as a separate, personified being standing outside the world, while humans were positioned as subjects who must obey from below. This shift is not the failure of any single religion but a recurring limitation of human cognition. Humans instinctively convert the invisible into images, the abstract into concrete forms. As a result, ultimate reality becomes anthropomorphized, metaphors are mistaken for historical facts, and symbolic language is reduced to rigid literalism. Yet within the biblical tradition itself, and within many others, there exists a clear countercurrent. There are passages that point toward an understanding of the divine not as a localized being but as fundamental reality, teachings that emphasize inner renewal of mind over outward ritual, and visions of authentic worship understood as a mode of being rather than a set of actions. These are not attempts to deny doctrine, but invitations to rediscover the direction toward which religious language points. Religion is not inherently the problem. The problem arises when symbols are mistaken for the reality they indicate. When consciousness does not awaken, symbols become idols. In this sense, the crisis of religion is inseparable from the crisis of human awareness itself. The historical movement of consciousness. There have been moments in history when human awareness underwent qualitative transformation. Karl Jaspers famously described one such period as the axial age, when humanity shifted from mythic worldviews to reflective, ethical, and introspective modes of thought. This was not an accident of history but a maturation of human consciousness. Interestingly, a parallel movement emerged in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, particularly within the cultural crucible of the modern world. As science and industry accelerated, certain thinkers began to reinterpret the relationship between humanity and the divine, not as separation, but as continuity within consciousness itself. They spoke of ultimate reality not as an external intervener but as the underlying ground of being and awareness. This movement did not solidify into dominant religious institutions. Instead, it functioned as a shift in perspective, changing how life is perceived rather than altering external circumstances. Its core insight was simple, yet radical: transformation occurs not by changing conditions but by changing the consciousness through which conditions are experienced. Such perspectives remained marginal because consciousness cannot be centrally controlled. It demands direct, personal realization. Yet their relevance has not diminished. On the contrary, as technological civilization approaches its limits, these ideas resurface with renewed urgency. Artificial intelligence is a mirror. The emergence of artificial intelligence is not merely a technological breakthrough, it is a confrontation with humanity's self-definition. For centuries, humans distinguished themselves by their cognitive abilities, reasoning, calculation, language, and problem-solving. AI now replicates or surpasses many of these functions, forcing humanity to recognize that functional intelligence is no longer a uniquely human domain. Much contemporary discourse frames this development in terms of fear. Figures such as Elon Musk warn that AI may pose existential risks to civilization. Yet these warnings share a critical limitation. They focus on what technology might become while remaining largely silent about what human beings themselves must become. AI can reproduce functions, but it cannot account for consciousness itself, the lived reality of experience, meaning, and presence. In this sense, AI acts as a mirror. When humans define themselves by function, AI becomes a threat. When humans recognize themselves as conscious awareness, AI becomes a tool. Thus, the central issue of the AI era is not control of machines but orientation of human awareness. We are technologically prepared to build powerful systems, yet psychologically unprepared to articulate who the user of those systems truly is. AI implicitly demands a declaration: are human beings merely functional entities, or are they conscious beings? The consciousness shift. A choice for the AI era. Humanity now stands at a crossroads. One path extends technological power without corresponding growth in awareness. Along this path, human beings risk becoming managed, optimized components within systems of efficiency. Life is reduced to performance metrics, and meaning dissolves into data. The alternative path does not require a new religion or ideology. Instead, it calls for a renewed recognition of a truth long hinted at across philosophy, spirituality, and science. Before humans think, they are aware that before the world is analyzed, it is experienced. Consciousness is not a side effect of existence, it is its center. This shift does not oppose technology. It reorders it. As AI increasingly assumes functional tasks, humans are invited to move beyond function into deeper awareness. The future human is not the one who calculates faster, but the one who perceives more deeply. This declaration does not call for mass upheaval. It begins quietly at the level of the individual. A single question becomes decisive in the age of AI: am I lost within my thoughts, or am I aware of them? The future of humanity depends not on technology itself but on the direction of consciousness. AI will continue to evolve at extraordinary speed. What remains undecided is how humans understand themselves. If humanity persists in defining itself by function and achievement, AI will overshadow it. If humanity recognizes itself as conscious awareness, AI will remain a powerful instrument in the service of civilization. This text offers not a prediction but an invitation. The age of artificial intelligence is unavoidable, but its meaning is not predetermined. That meaning begins, and ends, with consciousness.